Greetings, I'm John. It is 4:52 p.m. Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. This is going to be my hardware video because I know a lot of my subscribers and followers are big into hardware. I'm absolutely, even though I don't get to, haven't been able to post a lot of videos the past like decade, okay, trying to get back into that. Um, I'm going to talk about what I'm running, if my camera would stop being retarded. Okay. If you guys want to see a lot more videos, by the way, go watch my web video. I need help promoting my business. That is my Achilles heel. And I can promise you guys, and then I also just shot a video about the general YouTube and what I want to do with it. Now the hardware, I could just post the full videos of hardware on YouTube, and I also want to post a lot of content on the other platforms because I don't want to just blindly support YouTube and its pro censorship, anti free speech nonsense. But I don't really want to talk about that here. But if the more help I get with promoting my web business, the more I'm gonna be able to post videos about all sorts of topics. But I want to try to keep each video its own topic, so that way, if you're big into hardware but you don't care about web stuff, that's fine. You don't have to watch like a mesh. But I would definitely post a lot of content about a lot of different topics. Thank you, Ben, for reaching out. He's the reason why I'm even bothered to, shoot some videos, and I even spent an hour setting up my green screen. It's not fantastic. My setup is not fantastic. You can see the green around my head for the green screen and the weird pixelized stuff around me. So my lighting is not fantastic, but it's a lot better than what it used to be. And at least I'm not holding a web camera up behind my shoulder doing the video games. So anyway, hardware. So what I was using for pretty much almost the entire 2010s is I upgraded from my socket AM3 to socket AM3 Plus, and then I went from AM3 Plus to, the socket AM3 Plus. So whenever that basically came out, roughly about 2013 or so, it's been over a decade, or close to it. And running an 8350 FX, 4 gigahertz, 8 cores. The IPC was terrible, but when you looked at all the computers and all the stuff that I got to interact with besides that, because I don't really have a lot of tech friends nearby, that computer completely just destroyed the performance of anything else, and especially the two laptops I've had, which my current roommate destroyed about 2 weeks ago. Thank you. Anyway, it's not a fantastic laptop, but I'll get into that stuff later if I remember. So, and I had a RX 290X, which is 4 gigabytes, and it was really respectable when I got it. That was like after like the newest version of NVIDIA cards came out, and all the AMD cards were coming down in price. I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll get that. And that was all fine and dandy back then. Fast forward to 2022, and it was bad. And the reason is, I'm not going to talk about web stuff, but I've seen the browsers use a lot of GPU RAM, a lot of it, or GPU memory. I don't care. I'm going to call it RAM because the power goes out, everything that's in it gets flushed out. GPU RAM, okay? So the past year, past 2-3 years, I've been able to slowly upgrade parts of my system, and there are still some really hard pinch points I'm dealing with. But let's start with the core system. So about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a few months after, I was able to upgrade to. Let me get this over here. And I apologize, I had my water distiller sitting on top of this thing, but I have an ASRock X570 Phantom Gaming X. This box I'm using for all the video cables now because it's a good hardy box, and some of my cables are like 20 feet long. And then I got obviously to go with it, I got a 3800X, which is very respectable. Now the little story behind that was I got a shopping cart client, and I was like, okay, I'm going to build a shopping cart, and I got the first payment, of course. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to upgrade my no dental work. Okay, Well, that's fine because it's gonna be more payments. So I'm getting the work done, getting the work done. I can't wait to get the next payment. Got paid. Yeah. All right. We're gonna no dental. Okay. So third payment. Finally got to the third, but oh yeah, dental. No. All right. Nope. Week of Christmas. And as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that timing is always is against you and always sucks until you start making the money to make the suck go away. Money makes suck go away. It also invites some other suck, which you say no. But that's different stuff. I don't want to talk about that. So I only have 32 gigs of RAM. Some people are like, oh, 32 gigs of RAM, that's a lot of RAM. No, I'm stuck on Windows 10 now, and don't get me going on Microsoft. Um, but yeah, it's the IPC increase is definitely noticeable. It's a roughly 50 or 100% IPC increase compared to the 8350. Both 8 cores. This will run around. The task manager says it's only running up to 4.2, but if you use different utilities, it does actually hit the boost speeds, which says 4.5 gigahertz. It rarely does that, but it does hit the boost speeds. Um, I don't because I don't have the money to just straight up replace stuff like that or even upgrade. I do not overclock anymore. Besides the fact that I'm in a 10 by 10 foot room. So, you know, the low temperature of the components is very important to me. In fact, I had to reshuffle basically all my worldly possessions. My computer tower is sitting outside in the hallway because it's even with as well as it runs. I have it set to balance mode. It'll get to like 85 degrees in here. Okay, and I can't. That's not tolerable, and I have to deal with a roommate who is hopefully not too much longer. But anyway, let's talk about hardware. So 3800X, 32 gigs of RAM. I really should be on 64 gigs of RAM right now. Right now, I mean, I don't have much open. I only have a couple browsers. I'm at 10 gigs. There is 3 gigs of standby memory that's being wasted. That's a whole video I could go into. Let's clear that out. Okay, I'm down to 9.5 gigs. Okay. It's G.Skill memory. It's 3200 mega transfers, whatever. The only problem is that somewhere around 26 gigabytes or so, things will start to crash. So not the most stable memory, unfortunately, but it works well up to that point. So I will be upgrading to a 5800X 3D, and I will be just dumping this RAM, putting it in a box somewhere, or maybe donate. I don't know. And I will get a 64 gig kit. Probably go DDR4 3600 mega transfer RAM. I will mess around. There's not much to do with overclocking this anyway. And the X3D 3D processors aren't really designed yet to tolerate voltage overclocking and all that stuff. And I never got all that much into it simply because I've never had a huge amount of money just sitting around to be able to do that stuff. That will change if my luck improves with getting out in front of the people who are worth being out in front of. And that's by my measurement, not some of the I've had some very strange people who are might be friendly to me, but some of their stuff has been very hostile, and I will just say no to that garbage. So anyway, video cards. So I was stuck on a 290X. Since I've done an upgrade, I have seen upwards of 10 gigabytes of video RAM being used. I now have this Sapphire RX 6800. It's not an XT model, but 16 gigs of video RAM, and apparently that's still not enough. Now, I've actually have recorded how much GPU RAM is being used by certain games. Skyrim will use like 3 gigs of video RAM, okay? And I maybe got maybe a dozen, 2 dozen. I haven't played the game for like 2-3 years now, but I've got a small list somewhere of how much GPU memory each game will use. Now, this card came with 3 free games, and I got this September 2022. So I had to wait through the whole crypto nonsense. So, but basically, I got the I actually did get the was it the RX 6950 XT, but that died on me after 2 hours. So I'm not going to go into the backstory of that, but there is definitely a backstory and people injecting their lives into mine. But we'll just keep this to hardware, and people who are intelligent can read between the lines. So 16 gigs of RAM is a lot better. It's not enough. And this is actually a huge issue of video cards. GPU memory needs to increase substantially. Um, I'm happy to see that the 7900 XTX has 24 gigs, but immediately the next model goes down to 20 gigs, which means that implies that when the 7800 comes out, it'll have 16 gigs. We need to have the 7600 series have 16 gigs of RAM. We need 12 gigs to be the absolute bare minimum. Now, someone says, well, I don't play any games that use that much GPU memory. True, until you find a game that you really like. Now, Sniper Elite 5 was using upwards of 15.7 gigs of GPU memory. I think it was like the third level. It was like kind of like a kind of semi-pseudo island, and you went out there. I'm not big on if I do a shooter game, I'm more of an Unreal Tournament 2004, and I really wish they would release that without any changes except for improve the graphics. That's exactly what they should be doing. But unfortunately, as a business person, I don't just look at the games and stuff. I also look at who's making the games and who's funding that stuff, and that's based off of occupied China. So I'd love to see China overthrow the criminal organization over there. But until they do, I want nothing to do with the Unreal Engine. Unfortunately, I'm not saying that they have done some amazing things. Their developers are fantastic, but you don't want to support criminals in other countries who've overthrown legitimate governments, and that's all connected. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but I am very much looking forward to if I manage to get my business rocking and rolling. Then later on this year, after I've gotten a lot of much more important things resolved, I'd love to get my hands on the 7900 XTX with 24 gigs of video RAM. I still would like to see 32 gigs. I absolutely would like to see the AMD 8000 series and the NVIDIA, whatever, I don't really follow NVIDIA, what are they, that'll be a 5000 series. I'd love to see them hit 32 gigs on consumer cards. And I'd love to see their second and third tiers cards not be like instantly go drop down. You get like, here's 5 gigs of RAM and some oddball number. 12 gigs is still, I mean, you can do a lot with 12 gigs, like on a 6700 XT. But I knew that if I didn't go as high as I could manage with the budget I had, I would have problems. I still have problems at 16 gigs. So now the whole AMD versus Intel, the AMD versus NVIDIA, I'm a business person. So I do I would say I wouldn't say I'm absolutely obsessive or fanatical about research, but I definitely do much more research than a lot of people. I would say, I wouldn't say everyone, but I would definitely say the majority of people. And part of that is I like competition. I'm a capitalist. I don't like cronies. Cronies are anti-capitalist. Capitalism means competition. Competition means lower prices and higher quality. Okay, and as you could see, you can't find pants that fit for crying out loud. So I got to go to a tailor for crying out loud and do custom, pants. Thankfully, I've been able to come across some pants that fit reasonably well of late. But low quality is cronyism. High quality is capitalism. Okay. And so I'd really like to, when we talk about Intel and NVIDIA, Intel was throwing billions of dollars a quarter at corporations like Dell saying, don't sell anything AMD. And if we had lost AMD, who wants to drop $400 on the Celeron? Screw those hippies, okay? So I'm thrilled that Intel is struggling because they still have insane market share, okay? But their power consumption's through the roof, and they kind of got what they deserved. Not that I want, I'm not against the architects and the designers and the developers, the people doing the actual work. The problem with corporations like Intel is that the leadership, they're people in leadership positions, but they themselves are not leaders. There's a distinction between that. So, and Intel is, if you look at an Intel motherboard, and now a lot of the boards come with panels that cover everything. A lot of the chips on the Intel boards are all labeled Intel. So that's why they would say, oh, you can get a new Intel chip, and you can upgrade from last year. And all you have to do is replace your motherboard. When you replace the motherboard, that's not an upgrade. That's a rebuild. Okay. Because now you got to unplug the power supply. You got to obviously take out anything that plugged into the motherboard. And basically, socket AM4, AMD, all their generations of CPUs released on one motherboard generation. And I think the only, if you think about it critically, the only reason why they had a lot of trouble with, poor quality in the motherboards and stuff earlier on, besides the fact that yes, it was a new platform, is that the motherboard vendors didn't really believe AMD. They were just kind of just throwing it out there. AMD was smaller than ASUS, for crying out loud, and I never buy ASUS after the debacle back in the mid 2000s with their SLI 6NX motherboards not supporting RAID, making me choose between RAID or USB, and then sending me not one but two used garbage replacements. So that's not how that's cronyism. That's anti-capitalist cronyism. I don't tolerate that nonsense. So anyway, NVIDIA. So if you look at the 3000 series and the 4000 series, the 3000 series it's a mess. And anyone who was, I would be nice if my monitor would stop bouncing up and down, because I'm not bouncing up and down. Anyway, so 12 gigs on a 3060, and then they quietly release 8 gig versions that have less stream processors or whatever. Not CUDA cores. That's market. That's not marketing. That's lying. All right. Whenever it's a manipulation, or because I have to do actual marketing, and I'm looking forward to it when I have a budget to do it, of course. So yeah, they put 8 and 10 and 12 gigs on their like 3070 and 3080. They don't care about consumers. They are actively hostile towards consumers, because they want you to be able to say you don't have enough GPU memory, so you're gonna hit stuttering and whatnot in games at 4K, even though you have a 3080. Okay. Now I'm not playing. I do have technically a 4K screen. I have a 32-inch screen. I got this around 2014, 2015. It only does 30 hertz at 4K. So I really rarely use 4K, and it's just to test website stuff out. The monitor is one of my items that needs to be replaced. I would like to get, there's a $700 4K gigabyte screen. Now, I've had a lot of gigabyte motherboards in the past, have had no problems. Then there was the whole gigabyte power supply debacle, and even the screens I'm interested in. I've seen a lot of reports of people saying, like, it looks like someone kicked the boards, the boxes, and then threw them in the shipping, the container. So there are some concerns about that. But in order to do 4K, for two reasons. One, I have to build websites, and I don't like, going, I'm at 2560 by 1440, so I don't like going to a website and seeing that someone obviously designed it only at, 1920 by 1080, and it's a whole bunch of wasted space because people don't know how to test stuff. So it's important for me to be able to test stuff. But also, when I relax at the end of the day, I don't want to wait 5 seconds for my screen resolution to change because my video card's not strong enough, or this or whatever. I just want everything the same resolution. 4K for me doesn't work at 32 inches vertical or diagonal, or whatever the bit is. So they have a 144 hertz screen, and hopefully they've got rid of anyone who's damaging the products on at any part of the supply chain, because the screen looks very nice, and at 43 inches, 144 hertz at 4K, that would make me very happy, and that's one of the things I'd like to work up towards. Um, the performance with my 6800, I haven't played a lot of games because I'm constantly I'm gonna make a dedicated this camera needs us to when I get my business going. I promise you guys I will get some much more professional equipment. I'm doing pretty good considering my budget here, but I will make a dedicated video about the Diablo 4 beta. But so I'm not gonna talk about that right now. In fact, you know what? Well, yeah, I just lump everything in here. Forspoken also came with this, besides Sniper Elite 5, and there's some other game that I don't know or care. I have no interest in playing a game where you commit violence to pay student loans. Like, yeah, that's what we all want to play, right? So, Borderlands 3's came with my 3800X as well as, where is it here? The Outer Worlds. When I first started trying the Outer Worlds, my 290X, it just crashed all the time. And it never got fixed. And I don't know if it was, excuse me, an issue with the drivers or they just never bothered to test older, AMD equipment out. And that's a big issue is this whole mindshare nonsense with Intel, yes, but especially NVIDIA. And I'm really glad that NVIDIA is just absolutely going banana apes on how badly they're treating the market and gamers, because people are actually finally waking up to how absolutely atrocious NVIDIA is. And it's not to say that they're the actual people doing the work on making the cards, even though they're using all the cheap approaches and just increasing the L2 cache from like 6 to 72 megs and stuff like that. But again, they don't have leadership where there's leadership, and that's fine because we need the market shares to balance out. So I've beaten Borderlands 1. I've technically beaten Borderlands 3. I got all those games for free with hardware. And I've enjoyed the games, but the publishers are really pushing extreme political propaganda. And if you've played the games, you may have noticed it, and you're aware, and you're awake, not woke, awake, okay, then you'll know what I'm saying. I will not buy the DLCs. The moment I see propaganda, I mean, if I get the game for free, yeah, sure, I'll play it. But I'm not gonna. Even if I was doing crazy amounts of gaming and whatnot, I'm not gonna promote a game that's got a lot of political propaganda. But Borderlands 3 with my 6800 max detail at 1440, because again, I can only do 30 hertz at 4K, and the 1440p works fine here at 32 inches. That tops around 85 FPS with everything just absolutely maxed out ultra. I do put an FPS limiter because, again, the heat generated. And so I don't do 60 FPS. I set it around 70 or whatnot, because once you set it to 60, there's some issue with stuttering and whatnot. What other games have I don't have a lot of stuff installed. Galactic Civilizations 3. I've played No Man's Sky. Galactic Civilizations 3 is great when you have to just reset my sleep pattern because I have insomnia. No Man's Sky is fun to a degree, but the problem is that you can't just go on and play it for 20 minutes. It doesn't work that way. So it is a fun game, and I'm really glad that they really stuck to improving the game over the years. Let's see, what else do I have here? Not a lot of huge games. Civilization 5 and 6. I have a lot of stuff. I've enjoyed playing modded multiplayer Civilization 5. There's a way to do that. I've gotten back into trying to get the Outer Worlds going, but I just keep running out of time to get to it. What else? The Stanley Parable, that hardly counts, but it's fun for like 20, 30 minutes or whatever. Wolcen, it's okay. It looks nice, but it's a little elitist for my taste. I think it's good to have very powerful in charge, but if like your common grunt soldier, so to speak, are all elitist looking, it feels off. So I spend a lot of I don't spend a lot of time gaming, but when I do, A lot of it is spent in Diablo 2 Resurrected. The end game is engaging. I'll get into that in a little bit. I played Diablo 4 beta. Forspoken, I played that for maybe like 5 or 6 hours. It's not a bad game. It's not fantastic. It's okay. Um, it's trying to be more of a film than a game, which is weird because yeah, I generally will try to watch and enjoy the story for a lot of games. Not all the time, but I generally, I do enjoy the details. Um, there's Sniper Elite 5, The Outer Worlds. That pretty much sums it up. I don't get to play a lot of games. I just don't have a lot of time because I don't have a lot of money and I'm trying to build a business right here. Um, so Diablo 2 Resurrected, when that came out, I was like, well, that's fantastic. And I really wanted to focus on growing my business, not playing games, but I wasn't just the quality and the maturation was getting there, but it wasn't quite there with my platform. So now I've got that where I need it to be, and I got to focus on the marketing and reach out to people and whatnot. And hopefully, some of you guys will be throw some people worth my time who don't promote propaganda or participate in just some lot. I don't want to run the negative stuff, but there's just so much negative stuff that's out there. And I would rather be poor and say no than and degrade myself and my business and be involved with people who are not worth my time, even if they have all the money in the world. So, so Diablo 2 Resurrected, I don't really make a dedicated game to it, but I've got maxed out number 20 characters on Battle.net. I play mostly single player. Sometimes I go on and just relax for 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour at the end of my day. I don't get rune drops. Like I did get a Vex, which was insane, and I got it on a level 75 Paladin because I just wanted to see if a certain set that required like a level 80 for the Paladin would work, and I didn't like the set. It turned out, but I got, I was trying to level them up. I got a Vex drop. I have only gotten bursts from trades, only one or two of those. I haven't gotten very far. My recommendation is if you're playing Diablo 2 Resurrected, um, is pick up every last gem and jewel, and people will trade well for those. Go on Tradery and look up the prices. I give very fair prices for the stuff that I trade, especially since I'm immediately available when I'm doing a trade with someone. But I also have no interest in letting people walk over me in any context in life. So, but you can. That's how I just don't get high rooms, and it doesn't matter where I go. I generally get pretty garbage drops. So I've been able to just slowly build up the wealth because everyone's basically trading runes. Like 90% of trade is like runes. Very rarely you see an item traded for another item. And so I'll trade 40 gems or 40 jewels at a time, and usually I have like 80. I actually have two gem moles, dedicated gem moles, and I have one dedicated jewel mole, to give you an example. So it's fun. It's gives you a way to still work up towards better items. I've had to trade for the two or three Harlequin quests that I have, or the Shakos that everyone keeps calling mine. And I don't actually use them all that much. I did play one ladder season. I got to like level 66 in the Barbarian because I was like, well, if I'm going to play a character, I want it to survive. And the Barbarian has the best survivability. Still dies on occasion. I will not play hardcore mode, which for those of you who don't know, you die, that's it, your character's dead. And because it's even though Blizzard's been long gone, it's still Blizzard roots. And Blizzard is absolutely terrible at game balance. And they're fantastic at a lot of different things, but like I used to play World of Warcraft years and years ago. Okay, yeah, I did have some fun, but there's a lot of issues. Like guilds suck. Starting a guild is difficult because you got to get people to stick to it, and joining other people's guilds suck because most people are not objective, and most people have a really garbage version of fairness. I've only had one boss in my life working for other people that did not suck. Okay, and I've kind of learned how to treat other people based on how I've been treated badly, and I've been treated badly by most people I've encountered in my life. And part of building my business is like, look, I don't need every single potential client that comes my way. I will say no. I will walk away. I'd rather be poor and have people who respect me than wealthy but be surrounded by a bunch of jackasses. So, but between three scenarios, I'd rather have a bunch of money and people around me that I can and enjoy and respect. So hopefully that's the third scenario that I encounter. But yeah, I don't get to play video games all that much. I definitely have the hardware, but my computer is used 95% of the time for production. Maybe 90% production, 5%. I guess you could technically call it entertainment, where I will have video on while I'm eating. I'm not going to work while I'm eating. No, you got to have some boundaries. I have a video on when I'm grooming, cleaning out my combs and whatnot because I have hair. Putting laundry away, stuff like that. I don't get to play a video game every single day. The fact that I played 6 hours for Diablo 4 beta, that was a miracle. I don't take vacations. I don't take days off. I don't have weekends. I work every freaking day to get my business going. So, and yeah. Anyway, so my system's pretty decent. I need to upgrade to 64 gigs of RAM. I want to go 4K, mainly for the design. So I'm always designing at 4K, but on a screen where my start button isn't the size of a thimble. And I'd be able to switch back and forth. This card is very respectable. And by the way, for those of you wondering about AMD drivers, I've had some minor issues, okay? But most of the issues I had disappeared when I went from the 290X to the 6800. And the issues I had initially was I could not watch YouTube full screen and Vivaldi. But then latest drivers, that disappeared. And now it's mainly that the main issues that I've noticed is that for the few games that I have played and I've checked out, a lot of the developers are only testing NVIDIA and AMD as an afterthought. And I'm really hoping that NVIDIA really screwing up the GPU market and just screwing over gamers, that a lot of developers go like, no, you know what? Let's, the AMD cards are way better value and they may not be like toe to toe on certain features. I don't really care. I'm interested in ray tracing, but if I got to turn it off, I don't care. I don't really notice that much of a difference. So I would like to see them improve. I was mildly disappointed if they needed like 4 or 5 more months to get the 7900 XTX to really compete with the 4090. I would have been happy to wait. But they still got decent performance. I like the fact that the cards will still fit in the case. That's very important. I don't need massive heat generation. I would like to see the 7600 series have no less than 12 gigs of RAM. In fact, not that I ever had a 4 or 500 series card, but you could get 4 gig or an 8 gig. So I think it would be fantastic if we saw, if they're going to be 8 gigs, see 16 gig variants. If we're going to see 12 gigs, see 24 gig variants on the 7600, because that GPU memory is just like, it's just getting thrown to the wolves and there's not enough GPU memory. So NVIDIA's not going to do that, and I think it would be a fantastic selling point for AMD. It's not always about performance. Sometimes I don't want to close my browsers, and sometimes I have 3 or 4 different browsers open, because guess what I do? I'm a web developer. That's my primary tool that I have to work with. I don't have to close my browsers out to free up GPU memory to play a game for half an hour. That's stupid, because I'm going to, a lot of these projects I work on, they might take weeks or even months. I spent a whole month just working on my billing, which is is the last thing you guys want to hear about in a hardware video. But yeah, 64 gigs, 43-inch 4K screen at 144 hertz, 5800 X3D, and my storage. Oh boy. 1 terabyte drives aren't cutting it. I have 4 drive letters in Windows, C, D, E, and F. Terabyte, 4 terabyte Mac, and 4 terabyte Mac. Only the C drive is single drive. All the rest are RAID 1. and I am going to basically be going to C drive 4 terabyte single. D drive will be 2 4 terabyte drives, and those are all going to be SSDs. So that'll be 5 separate 4 terabyte SSD drives, probably Western Digital Black. The issues with the I was gonna go 2 terabyte with the Samsung Pro, but they don't have 4 terabyte Samsung Pros, and there were a lot of issues around it. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to rip out these SSDs in a month from now because I'm easily already shifting data around between drives, and I don't want to be doing that. So definitely 4 terabytes is the way to go. On my mass storage, I have 2 RAID 1s. I have like 4 drives that are 4 terabytes. So I'm gonna merge that so I only have 2 drives in RAID 1. And I ideally would like to go 16 terabyte SATA SSDs, but I don't know about the pricing and everything like that. And I don't want to buy like 15.36. I don't want weird wonky numbers. I might, in the interim, go with 3 16 terabyte Western Digital HDST, whatever they're called. Excuse me. Why 3 when I'm doing RAID 1? Because I take a drive, I put it in, and I clone the drive every now and then. And ideally, once I'm doing very well financially, I will have 2 external backups. So that way, if I have a backup drive plugged in at any given time, I have a whole nother drive that's a clone of that drive. And so I only, there's always one that's definitely cold storage at any given time. So that would let me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 drives total, which is expensive. But hey, building a business, the point of a business is to make money. Anyway, if you guys want to see a lot more of these videos, and I'd like to get more in depth into specific parts of these, I'd love to show you guys more of the hardware and whatnot, and what the system can do. I got to be able to make the money. I got to grow my business, and the marketing is the most difficult part. So, if you guys, this might have been a half-hour video for crying out loud, but if you guys want to watch this stuff and see more, and there's a lot of stuff that no one is going into. I'm not going to go into the topics because I want to hold on to them. So that way, when I do get into them, don't say, "Oh, someone else already did that." There's a lot of topics I want to get into. And I might bridge this off and split the channel into different channels, and I'll let you guys know that before I do that. So that way, if you only want to watch the hardware, the videos, or you only want to watch the web, or some of you might want to watch everything. Again, thank you to Ben for reaching out. Hopefully, the new screen, when I get it, will not bounce like crazy. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Feel free to reach out to me. You're always welcome to do that. If it's not about business and you don't need a website, keep it to email. You can use my contact form on either of the websites, jabcraces.com or johnbulky.com. I don't know if they have contacts through here or whatever. And if I forget to link the websites, remind me in a comment. I do pay attention to comments. I always make the comments that I have to approve them all, so that way I see them. And if YouTube drops the ball and you don't get the comment approved in a couple of days, reach out to me. Just don't swear in the comments, please. Yeah, so guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully the business will really take off, and we can talk about some more amazing hardware stuff and get into a lot more details that I've not seen anyone get into. So thanks for watching, and shoot another couple of videos. Thanks.